know how to do that?
Yeah.
All right. We are at step 8 and 9 today. Step 8 and 9. Step 8 says, made a list of all the persons we have harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Like we looked at step 6 and 7 last week, step 8 is more of a preparation step. Step 9 is an action step. I want to start out by talking about some obstacles to working step 8. Some obstacles to working step 8. First obstacle, skipping step 9 before completing step 8. And we have to go back to our step 4 and make a list of all the people we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. The mistake we make is trying to run out and go to making amends to people before we complete our list. You need to do step 8, make that list, go over that list with your sponsor or your spiritual advisor, and someone needs to help you to make the decision about who you're going to make amends to. You don't need to make that decision all by yourself. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Number 2, fear conspiring with pride. Fear conspiring with pride. It's a scary step to go and make those amends. And step 9 said make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, right? And so we're a little afraid. And it's hard to apologize in the first place, right? To make an amends. As we've been talking about all this week, there are 3 primary ways of making amends: verbal, financial, and living amends. We've already made so many verbal amends by saying we're sorry. So people are not receptive to that, because we done said that 100 times. We ain't got no money, so you're probably not going to make the financial amends. It's the living amends. We just got to live that stuff down. And we don't get to decide how long that takes. It's the person we have harmed that make that decision on how long it takes to reconcile that relationship. Number 3, purposeful forgetting. Purposeful forgetting. See, we'll try to forget that we hurt people. You ain't forgotten. That's why it's way down there step 8, so that your mind will have a little more clarity by the end. And let me say this. We think as addicts that it's just the people that we have physically harmed. But guess what? Most of the time, are we taking something tangible from people? It's not that. We've hurt people emotionally, we've hurt people spiritually, and we have hurt people just by abandoning our responsibilities. Whatever our role is, we've abandoned that. And a lot of times people say, I've never taken anything. And I tell people all the time, the most important thing that you took from people is you. And so a lot of times we have to look at it that way. We might not have taken TVs or stole money from people, but you took you. You did not fulfill your obligation of whatever your role was in that. And that's tough. And so that's the amends a lot of times that we got to make. We got to go and tell people, I did not fulfill my obligation as your son or as your daughter, as your father, as your mother, as your husband, as your wife. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of times it's that. And that's the amends that people need more than the TV. Because guess what? They done replaced the TV by now. So they're not really thinking or or expecting you to replace that. It's you not fulfilling your role. That makes sense? Number 4, focusing on the wrong done to us. The wrong done to us. If you're going to do you're doing yourself 8, that's where we at, and you're making your list. You can't rationalize or justify and get stuck into what people have done to you. No, it's what you've done to people. And a lot of times we try to justify whatever we've done to people based on what happened to us. They ain't working the program. They not on step 8. It's you on step 8. Why forgive those who hurt me? Why? Because God has forgiven you. That's the first thing. And a lot of times we don't want to forgive, but why that's important? Because God has forgiven us. Colossians 3:13 says, you must make allowances for each other's faults and forgive the person who offended you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. And in the model prayer we recite all the time, it says, forgive me as I forgive my debtors. What that basically means is, Lord, I want you to forgive me at the same rate that I forgive somebody else. And we really don't want that, right? But that's why we need to be forgiving. Because resentment doesn't work. That's the second one. Resentments don't work. They say in the fellowship, resentments are like, it's when I take the poison expecting somebody else to die. Your resentment ain't doing nothing but making you sick. Most people don't even know you still mad at them. Or they don't care. They done moved on with their life. You're the only one stuck with this. And so it ain't hurting them. How do you think all of your anger that you got towards somebody else, what effect do you think that's having on them?
None.
None? So why are you holding on to it? You know, you ain't hurting them. I'm mad at you, so you can't enjoy your life. You're like, don't nobody care about you being mad? Job 5:2 says, to wear yourself to death with resentment would be a foolish, senseless thing to do. Job 18:4 says, you are only hurting yourself with anger. And that kind of sums it up. Job 21:23-25 says, some men stay healthy to the day they die. Others have no happiness at all. They live and idle with bitter hearts. The big book says resentments are the #1 offender of drug addicts and alcoholics, and from that stems all spiritual diseases. My resentment makes me spiritually sick, but guess what else, y'all? It makes us physically sick too. Worry and anger will kill you. Some of us got ulcers, some of us our hair and turned gray and fell out because we worried about stuff and mad about stuff. You would feel a whole lot lighter and free if you let a whole bunch of stuff go. Because I need forgiveness in the future. That's the next one. Because I need forgiveness in the future. Mark 11:25 says, and when you stand, pray, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive him, so that your Father in heaven may forgive you. Just think about it this way, y'all. Those people that we're mad at may be standing in the way of God forgiving us or God blessing us. Our prayers could be hindered because we mad at people. And guess what? I don't want nobody to stand in the way of the things I want God to do for me. That's enough to make you forgive people, right? Number one, as we look at step 9, make a list of those I've harmed and what I did. It's not only, y'all, who I harmed, but what specifically did I do to them? Y'all got it? Number 2, think how I'd like others to make amends to me. That's what we got to think about. How would I like those people who hurt me to come to me? We talked about this a little bit this week. And when the steps were written in the 30s, they didn't have all of this social media and technology and all of that. That's why I said make direct amends. We shouldn't Facebook them, Snapchat them, text them, none of that stuff.
None of that.
It said go make a direct amends if possible. So guess what? We need to go and look these people in the eyes. Sometimes we can't do that because sometimes they're deceased, they're dead. And so a lot of times we have to write letters. You know? And sometimes we don't know where those people are. And sometimes it's just not safe. But what I have to become is willing. I have to become willing to make those amends. Luke 6:31 says, do to others as you would have them do to you. That's real simple, right? 3 issues to think about. The right time. That's the first thing. The right time. See, sometimes, y'all, we can't recover at other people's expense. And so it's just not the right time. I was using this illustration the other day, that if you had dated a lady or a man in the past, and you see them at the mall, and they're with a new mate, is that the appropriate time to walk up to them and apologize for something you done 15 years ago? It's not the right time, right? So sometimes, y'all, timing is vitally important. Ecclesiastes 8:6 says, there is a time, a right time, and a right way to do everything. So we need to think about that, y'all. Is it the right time? Step 1, the right attitude. The Bible talks about having a broken and contrite heart. And so when we go and to make these amends, people are looking for some attrition. I can't go arrogantly, right? I need, it's not that we got to grovel or anything. I just need to make sure my attitude is right. We've all had people to go to us or come to us and make an amends or apologize, and you knew they wasn't serious. You could look at their face and the way that their posture was, and you'd be like, you know what, I don't accept this because you ain't serious. So we need to make sure our attitude is right when we go and make these amends. Speak the truth in a spirit of love, Ephesians 4:15. Speak the truth in a spirit of love. Next one, is it appropriate? Is it appropriate? See, sometimes, y'all, it's not appropriate, it's not safe, it's not good. That's why we go over step 9 and 8 with our sponsor, and our sponsor tells us, because we need somebody else to help us to make sure what we're doing is appropriate. Because sometimes it's just not appropriate, y'all. Proverbs 12:18 says, thoughtless words can wound deeply as any sword, but wise spoken words can heal. And we can hurt people. And we can get ourselves hurt. And if I am going to do my step 9 with the purpose of trying to reconcile the situation, see, step 9 is about me going making amends. It doesn't mean I'm going to reconcile this relationship. It don't mean we're going to get back together. It doesn't even mean they're going to forgive you. You're doing step 9 for you. You ain't trying to reconcile a relationship. And so if you're thinking you're going to reconcile a relationship in step 9, you got the wrong attitude. You got the wrong intentions. You just going to make an amends for what you've done. That's it. Got it? And a lot of times we go selfish with expectations. See, the first time I done a step 9, see, I had an expectation that they were going to forgive me. I had an expectation that they were going to let me back into their lives and a whole bunch of stuff. And I got my feelings hurt because those people wasn't there. You see what I'm saying? They didn't want me back in their lives. They were still mad and they were still hurt. So be careful with that. Number 3, make direct amends. We talked about this a little bit earlier. If possible, it needs to be direct. Again, not texting them, not Snapchatting them, none of that stuff that, this new technology that we have, it's direct, if possible. Matthew 5:23 and 24. If therefore you are presenting your offering at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your offering there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother and then come back and present your offering. So what Matthew was saying here, y'all, that you know what, the most important thing is reconciliation, not the offering. It ain't what you do for God and I'm serving them doing all these things. No, there are some people I need to go and reconcile with and try to make an amends, because that's why we stay spiritually sick, because we got all of this stuff and we done hurt all of these people, and we just kind of need to be at peace. If possible, be at peace with everyone. You see what I'm saying? Isn't it tough being in an environment with a lot of tension and a lot of resentment and a lot of anger? This is a treatment center, so y'all cohabitate with a whole bunch of people. Isn't it rough walking around not speaking to people and people not speaking to you, and you can feel the tension in the air? You be like, let's just stop, and whatever I done to you, I'm sorry, because this is making me uncomfortable walking around in here with all of this tension. We're not healthy enough to walk around in those type of environments and survive. That's why a lot of times we got to make amends, because we be sick. Because we don't have the emotional capacity to walk around and not let that bother us. When you new in recovery, you ain't got it. You can say, I don't care. That's a lie from the pits of hell. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they say. That's not true, is it? We be throwed out. Because we don't know how to operate like that. So that's why, y'all, we got to try to make amends and try to get this stuff straight so that we'll be free. Make restitution. And we talked about that as well. Make restitution. Verbal, financial, living. Sometimes, y'all, we just got to pay people back. And sometimes, y'all, that's not money. The biggest thing that people want from us is to not be hurt by us no more. Not to be lied to by us no more. Not to be abandoned by us no more. Sometimes that's the amends. And the greatest amends you can make to everybody who love you is to work the program. See, I can't make a real amends and then not go and work the program. that's making amends. Y'all making amends by being here. But you got to be here and work the program. That's an amends. To not use no more. That's it. Y'all got that? Ezekiel 33 and 15 says, if a wicked man restores a pledge, pays back what he has taken by robbery, walks by statutes, which ensures life without committing iniquity, he will surely live and shall not die. That's basically what I was saying. That you know what? My greatest restitution, my greatest amends is to stay clean. That's it. A lot of times that makes the situation better. It still doesn't mean those people we've harmed want us back in their life. But at least we ain't using and worrying them and hurting them. You see what I'm saying? Again, before we close, a lot of times it's not the stuff we took. Our people worry about us. Staying clean allows them to rest. I hear from parents and wives all the time, and they tell me, I haven't had a good night's sleep in years. Because they don't know whether we're going to live or die. So making restitution is just staying clean so them people don't have to worry about us. That makes sense? Last one. Refocus my life. Refocus my life. Job 11:13 through 16 says, if only you would prepare your hearts and lift your hands to him in prayer, get rid of your sins and leave all iniquity before you. Then, behind you, then your face will brighten with innocence. You will forget your misery. It will be gone like water under the bridge. We need to refocus. And what that really means is I need to reprioritize my life. I need to figure out what is important in my life. And that's really what it's about. See, our priorities are messed up. In the big book, and while we're not in the big book, in NA text, and while we're here, it says our whole world was centered around the use and acquiring drugs, right? Everything. And so that means our priorities are messed up when my whole focus is on getting high and getting more drugs. And so a lot of times, we don't know how to prioritize our life. And we got to figure out what is important. And whatever is important got to be followed up by action. You see what I'm saying? Because whatever I say is important, that's where I spend my time and my money and my resources. So it's really easy for you to figure out what's important to you as we close. All you got to do is look at where do I spend my time, or how do I spend my time, and how do I spend my money. That's what's truly important to you. That make sense? Yes, sir.